the Koalition.
But there was some news regarding PUBG this week where pretty much we found out that the PUBG creator was upset because Fortnite decided to create a new mode that is very similar to PUBG. And, you know, in related news also, we also found out that Fortnite did have a feature that allowed cross-play, but that was fixed once it was discovered. So I thought that was interesting. It was a big week for Fortnite news. But pretty much the point of this particular discussion is about the PUBG creators being mad that this other mode was used. And I believe that you posed to Gary, or Gary, I believe you asked the question, is it okay for other developers to take a formula from another game they're inspired by? I do have some thoughts on that, but I want to definitely get you guys' opinions first. So, Mr. Lugo, how about you start us off and share your thoughts on this particular situation?
Yeah, I feel a couple different ways about this. Now, I understand the kind of, the ethics about, friendly competition and kind of like, even talking smack to some extent. That goes without saying, not just in our business as far as the games industry, but just about any other business out there. But at the same time, and somebody else brought this up as an example, I believe it was Greg Miller on one of his podcasts, came on and said, you don't hear Coca-Cola or Pepsi talking shit about the other company. And the reason being is because, number one, it doesn't really matter because both companies are going to do their own thing. But number two, it makes everybody look bad, especially when it's like you're really coming after the other entity or the other business in that regard. The thing is about us in the games industry, or just about gaming in general, is that almost every idea has been done before in some form or fashion. I don't think you can really claim claim an idea or at least claim a style of game that if it has already been done before. I mean, I don't think any company could really do that, save for a few. And even then, there's very strong arguments against that because every single idea has been kind of replicated over and over and over again, even though it's presented in a new type of form or a new type of fashion. The thing is that no matter what, PUBG kind of looks like it's being it looks almost like, they're coming out of this the worst as far as like aesthetics are concerned, as far as like, publicity is concerned. The reason being is because it just seems to me anyway, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of other people out there, that it's unneeded to kind of take that stance in the way that they were kind of approaching this. Yes, I think that the similarities between Fortnite's new mode is very similar and it heavily inspired by PUBG, but I don't think that PUBG, or at least, those developers have really any sort of legal leg to stand on as far as like, taking any sort of legal action or really justifying any sort of action afterwards with their words or, after their words have been put out there. I think it's more of a kind of like a smack talking thing just for the whole get people talking about the whole ordeal type of thing. And I think also that other companies are going to do something very similar at some point. And I think they fully expect that, especially since they're one of the fastest growing games or fastest growing player bases in quite some time. It's almost kind of like a phenomenon with PUBG at this point. But I just think it was a poor choice to really kind of tout out about how you're thinking about taking legal action just because there are a couple similarities between your game and another game. I mean, if that was the case, look at Shadow of Mordor and look at Assassin's Creed. I don't think you were really seeing Ubisoft talking smack about WB games at that point. It's a greatly exaggerated example, I understand, but the parallels are still there. It's almost the exact same ordeal. And, you don't see any of those other companies doing something like that. Look at any 2D fighting game. Street Fighter, Capcom really kind of set up the foundation or the basis for the fighting game genre as we know it today. But you don't really see them, really kind of taking like a legal stance or thinking about legal action against other companies that like Midway back in the day with Mortal Kombat, or even NetherRealm Studios now, or any other fighting game company or company that creates a 2D fighting game at this point. I just think it was a poor decision on PUBG's part, or at least the creator's part, to kind of like be so vocal about his disdain about it. I mean, you could dislike how companies are going to start replicating and start kind of copying you in some regard, but I just think he could have handled it much better.
Yeah, very good points. Gary, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what JJ said. Like, I don't condone copying at all, but like this happens a lot in basically every industry. Like whenever there's a successful product, there's going to be a lot of clones from other people that are, you know, basically going to copy the formula because, you know, that's what people are buying into at that point. So yeah, I mean, the Blueho, like the developer of PlayerUnknown, they should, you know, they should just be happy with the success that they've got so far, like, because they're like basically the top game on Steam right now. Everybody's playing, like millions of people are playing this game every day. So of course, you know, there's going to be people who copy the game, but you're the originator, like you're in the position of power at this point. So yeah, coming out and, you know, calling out the Fortnite for copying and stuff, like it doesn't really do anything except make you look a bit salty, I guess, when you shouldn't be salty because you're the one that's, you know, you're leading the charge essentially. But as for Fortnite, you know, I guess it was a smart move for them to try and, you know, implement that and, you know, copy Battlegrounds and everything. But like consumers are smart. Like consumers aren't dumb. They can see when something's a copy of something else. So, you know, as long as they're aware and as long as Epic Games, the, you know, who made Fortnite, as long as they're not trying to like claim like they're the originator here, then there's no problems. Like it's business that's going to happen at the end of the day. So that's my thoughts on it.
See, my problem with them accusing Fortnite of this kind of stuff is you know, one of the games that PUBG kind of copied off of H1Z1 in a way. And, you know, H1Z1 even in a way copied off of like Minecraft mods. Like this, remember the Hunger Games Minecraft mods from like 4 years ago? Like PUBG didn't even originate this idea, which kind of pisses me off a lot because it's like, yeah, I get it. There are some pretty close similarities to the Fortnite Battle Royale and the PUBG one. But at the same time, PUBG just kind of did it best. That doesn't mean that they're the only ones that can do it or will do it. This is going to happen again, and it's going to keep happening. I mean, it's just, I feel like they're doing this just to try and get publicity or something. I will say that it was smart of Epic Games to drop this because they just kind of dropped it out of nowhere. Like we just got an email one day. It was like, oh, there's a Battle Royale coming to Fortnite, which is a PvE game, you know, and then there's just suddenly this PvP Battle Royale mode, which is really cool. But I think it was smart of them because they know PUBG is coming to consoles, and this is kind of their way of being there first. Or PUBG is coming to Xbox One, sorry. And this is kind of their way of being there first on the Xbox. And when PUBG eventually comes to PlayStation, you know, this Battle Royale game will already be there and established. In fact, they even came out and made it free to play like 5 days after they announced it. Like you can play it without buying Fortnite. If you buy Fortnite, you get that PvE mode, but you can play the PvP for free. And then the full game is going to be free to play in a year anyways. So I think it was a pretty smart move of Epic Games. And I think that PUBG and Bluehole might be a little bit pissy about that because they're not going to be the dominating Battle Royale on console anymore. Or maybe they still will, you know, because as we said, their fan base is massive and that's only going to grow on Xbox, but you never know. I think that it's really interesting, but I think it's just whining at this point that they're complaining about that.
So very, very good points. I didn't know about any of that information that you said prior to that. So that's some very good analysis right there, Mr. Muller. Dana, you have any thoughts?
Basically, a lot's already been said. You know, nothing in this world is that unique. And it's very unfortunate when you feel like you're being ripped off. But, you know, sometimes you just have to roll with the punches. And unless it's a complete blatant ripoff, then, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. It's unfortunate, but, you know, nothing is original.
That is correct. The only point that I would say on as far as what I think is that, well, I must be honest to say I really don't understand what this phenomenon is with PUBG. I haven't had a chance to play it. Maybe I too will become part of that phenomenon once I actually play it. But to me, I don't see anything really too special about it. The fact that the idea is now being used by these other people, I think that, you know, honestly, I think that, you know, they should be, well, in my opinion, the PUBG developers should be a bit honored that you see other people are starting to use your thing now. This pretty much will tell you it's a success. And they should also be confident knowing that it's already doing well on PC. It's going to do well on the Xbox One X because, as I have said multiple times, there ain't really too many other games to play on the X at launch, provided that this game is actually coming out at launch, because I still don't know when it's coming out. I heard holiday 2017, and I haven't heard anything else outside of that. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think they should be angry about it. Like you guys have already said, you know, a lot of ideas are used, and this happens in every industry. It's not specific to the gaming industry. And if you are confident in your product and what you bring to the table, I don't know why you're going to worry about what someone else is trying to do. Just continue to, you know, rely on the people that support your product, make it better, add certain things you want to, if you want to make it a little bit more different from what other people are trying to copy. And that's really all you can do. But I don't think they should be worried about anything because, again, the game is a success on PC. It's going to do well on Xbox One X. So I don't think they should be making a big deal